This is Lauren Witzke. She's a white nationalist. She also ran for Congress a while back. Interestingly enough, she's on here talking to Candace Taylor. You may remember her as Guns, Jesus, Babies lady. She ran for governor of Georgia in 2020. And lost, of course. She got like 6% of the vote or something like that in the primary of all things. And she claimed voter fraud, naturally. They always do. So I wanted to listen to this bizarre conversation that they had with each other. Check this out. This is from October 2022.
God is calling up fighters. He is calling up fighters during this time, people to speak out, be bold. However, your run, you pushed the issue of election integrity.
She's talking about Candace Taylor's run for governor of Georgia. Like I said, she didn't get past the primary stage. She's running against Brian Kemp, and she lost. She only got 6% of the vote and claimed voter fraud, of course.
Elections, they don't really matter in America. Our votes don't really count. You were a loud voice. You literally went on that debate stage and
a loud voice and an obnoxious voice are two different things, I would say. She was an obnoxious voice, and she honestly wasn't that influential. I would say her very top issue was the Georgia Guidestones being evil. She kind of got the blame pinned on her for the Georgia Guidestones being destroyed. The Georgia Guidestones were these things that are like, it's just a monument in Georgia, right? They're just, I think, granite, and they had some ideas inscribed in them for how to rebuild a society in the event of like a nuclear blast or something. Well, somebody destroyed the Guidestones, basically took, domestic terrorism, took a bomb and blew them up directly. Shortly after, a political ad came out from Candace Taylor, the woman on the left, saying that they're evil, they're from Satan, and all this other nonsense. That's probably what she's most famous for. Not election integrity, not for taking the establishment for a ride or any of that. It was for inspiring a domestic terrorist to blow something up.
You literally went on that debate stage and called Joe Biden an illegitimate
Which
I'm not really sure why they think that's funny. That completely destroys higher discourse in the U.S. It's honestly sad.
It's true, and you were just saying what we're all thinking.
You coached me, right?
It's like they're all just coming around and saying the most insane, extreme stuff they can possibly come up with. How extreme and insane can we get? If I can get really, really messed up, then I'll get more and more and more attention. So I'm going to go out there and accuse Joe Biden of CSA. That was their plan. That's what they decided to do. That's how she was going to get attention. Genius. Did it win her the election? No, of course it didn't. It just led to a coarsening of discourse once again.
And I said, can I legally say this? And they're like, I don't know, let's ask. Yes, we can, because the diary proved it, right? So we could do
exactly.
No to all of that. I'll tell you what she's talking about. It's this conspiracy theory about Ashley Biden's diary, okay? This is Joe Biden's daughter. Oh, I spent a while looking into this the other day. So, Project Veritas, an extremist organization, an activist organization who tries to get people caught up in gotchas and more often than not fails miserably. They tried to pay one of Ashley Biden's roommates to steal a diary from her. They claim to have gotten the diary, but I guess the FBI got involved because transporting stolen property across state lines is like a serious criminal offense. So the people who actually did this got arrested for it. And Project Veritas came out and said, quote, "We couldn't verify its authenticity. We don't even know if it was real. So we're not going to use anything from it." So they just scrapped it. They didn't even use anything from Joe Biden's daughter's diary or supposed diary, if it was even real. Joe Biden's daughter, by the way, is like 40-something years old, 41 years old. And this happened like a couple years ago, not that long ago. And then I believe Tucker Carlson comes along and reads excerpts of her diary on air. Doesn't show pictures of it. I mean, we have no way to know if this is even real, any of this. This could be completely made up. And they claimed all kinds of stuff about him being involved in CSA or whatever else. Like, absolutely insane. No way to know if any of this is real. No way to verify any of it. and it was just another political attack. The people who actually paid for the diary to be stolen in the first place said we can't even verify if it's real or not. So take that for what you will. Candace Taylor is out here claiming directly that it is real and that she knows it's real, and that justifies her accusing Joe Biden of this thing or that thing or whatever else. She can call him that if she wants, whether the diary is real or not. It doesn't really matter. She can say she thinks that he is involved in CSA. The bar for defamation is really, really high. Honestly, you've got to cross a lot of lines to get sued for slander or libel or defamation or whatever other thing. It's almost impossible in the United States. The fact that Alex Jones was successfully sued for defamation is honestly incredibly impressive on the part of the plaintiff's lawyers. It's very, very difficult. So anyway, she could have said that if she wanted, and if it was stated as an opinion that she held. Not that Joe Biden would have done anything about it anyways. Like Hillary Clinton could come out and sue Greg Locke for all the crazy nonsense that he spews about her anytime she wants. She's not, in fact, a high priestess in the Church of Satan like he claims. She never has been. She could sue him for defamation for a lot of the stuff that he says. But suing for defamation draws attention to the issue, draws attention to Hillary Clinton and the idea that she might be, a high priestess in the Church of Satan or whatever else. That's why they don't do it. Not worth the time, not worth the money, not worth the attention. But they live in a fantasy land where facts don't matter to them. All that matters is their feelings and how absolutely outrageous they can be.
So we could do
exactly.
So
it's true. It's true. Hey, but I didn't go on that debate stage and say it. That was you.
No, I believe it was the Holy Spirit inside of you that coached me. And when I got up there, it was his boldness that came up inside of me like a lion, because these people were so fake and saying things that nobody cared about. Talk about real issues, right?
Talk about real issues. You mean like Joe Biden and this flimsy, unverifiable claim that he's involved in CSA? Give me a fucking break, man. These are the real issues, huh? These are the issues you want to talk about. The issues that affect people on a day-to-day basis. These things that affect people's real lives. Joe Biden and CSA. Come on. These are two white nationalists. I'm not saying that hyperbolically. I mean, these people really do hold white nationalist extremist views. These people are absolutely unhinged from reality, and I don't know if they're ever going to come to it. I don't know if they will ever come down to reality with the rest of us. It's nuts.
Hey, Owen. My name is Danny. I am from Oregon. I found your channel about a month ago, and I just want to thank you for everything that you're bringing here. I'm watching your video on Boebert and the biblical citizenship test. Try to refrain here.
You know what? Let me give a little bit of context to this. A little while back, I did a video on Boebert, or Boebert, as some people prefer to call her, and her claim that we should be doing a biblical citizenship test in schools.
Maybe we need to have some sort of legislation that requires Constitution Alive and biblical citizenship training in our schools, and that's how we get things turned around. But there has to be real leadership from the Republicans, especially now.
Absolutely unhinged stuff, man. Biblical citizenship training in schools. This is a public U.S. representative. It's insane. Anyway, let's keep listening.
Try to refrain here. I was born and raised in this fundamental evangelical stuff in 57, almost 58, so I get it. And these people don't know their Bible. Anyway, thank you for continuing to do what you do. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm just glad anybody is here to listen, because I think this stuff is absolutely unhinged. I'm glad that people see it for what it is. It's not just me. It makes me feel better to know that other people see it too. But yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a I guess you could call it a fundamentalist belief system too. So I know it's not easy coming out of that or readapting to society once you get on the outside. So I'm glad you found your way out. That's good news.
Hey, Owen, this is Alex from New York, and I have a interesting question for you. I wanted to get your take on people's experiences with God in relation to psychedelics. I am not a psychedelic person or anything like that, but I'm sure you've heard many people talk about like how they've seen God and all these things. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, because it's not a religious thing. It's kind of adjacent to. I don't know how to explain it, but just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Thank you very much. Keep it up. Love the content.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Psychedelics are something that we can completely explain with the brain scientifically. We know how the brain handles these drugs like LSD or psilocybin or whatever other thing. We know how the brain acts and reacts on this stuff. So I don't see it as a spiritual or a religious thing at all to me. I mean, we may not fully understand all of the little ins and outs and nuances of how it works, but yeah, it just seems like a fun experience to me, just generally speaking. Although there can be some very not fun parts about it. I don't want to glorify using this stuff to anybody. I had a really hard battle with drug use when I was younger, and it took me a long time to get out. LSD and magic mushrooms are obviously very different from opiates, which is what I was hooked on, but there's still an altered state of mind, and generally speaking, I'm very opposed to that, so take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, I just can't see it as any kind of a spiritual experience. I get that some people do, and that's okay with me. It just seems like if we can explain it with science, then why bring God into the equation at all? That's just kind of how I feel.
Hi, Owen. This is Isaac from Ohio. I was just wondering how you dealt with homelessness at a young age and exactly how you were able to get back up on your feet, because I am now in a very similar situation. Thank you so much. Enjoy your show. You do good work.
Yeah, let me explain what my experience with it was. You probably know, caller, since you are aware that I dealt with it in the first place. But if anybody was unaware of what I experienced, when I turned 18, I was kicked out of Jehovah's Witnesses, banned from talking to my friends or family or anybody at all. And my mom kicked me out of the house on my 18th birthday. So I called up a girl that I knew from school and crawled in her window, middle of the night, and lived in her bedroom with her. You don't realize probably how complicated it is to live in somebody's bedroom without their family knowing that you're there. I had to plan when I'd use the bathroom. I was peeing in like Gatorade bottles or like Burger King cups. She was bringing food back to her bedroom so that we could both eat. I was sneaking out the window to go to work. I mean, it was hard. It was real fucking hard. Eventually, about 3 weeks passed. There was a guy that I worked with, knew my situation at work, and he had an extra bedroom in his trailer. He had like a he had like a single wide trailer. So he offered for me to come live with him for $150 a week. Or no, $150 a month. Yeah. He offered for me to come live with him for $150 a month in his extra bedroom. So I go over there, and I lived in his bedroom, I think for like 3 or 4 months. It was a while. The girl came with me. We ended up getting married eventually and having a kid. Yeah, we lived together. I was still supposed to be going to high school. I had a car, but I wasn't going to high school. I had to support myself. So I started working at Burger King full time, and I couldn't go to school anymore. So I ended up dropping out of high school, and that was kind of the end of my homelessness. At that point, I moved in with my soon-to-be wife's family, officially moved in with her and her grandmother, grandfather, and the whole family. And they took care of me after that. So I was extremely lucky in the fact that I had people around me who, when the family I had gave up on me, they took me in and took care of me. I did struggle for a period of 5 or 6 months total, probably, on my own. Struggled with homelessness, trying to find some way to keep my head above water, keep food in the trailer with my buddy, doing everything I could to survive. But eventually I did have new family take me in. Sadly, those family members just died like a couple months ago. That's been devastating, losing them, because they were the only ones that cared about me basically my entire life. So that was pretty rough, but it is a rough journey. I know better than anybody what the journey feels like. It is not fun. It is not fun, and I know it's not. It's not fun, and it's not fair either. But if you have to keep on keeping on. You have to keep pushing through. Keep working at it. Keep going. Keep doing it. You will make it. You will make it. You just have to give it a little bit of time. Good luck. I hope things turn out okay for you sooner rather than later. Cody Culp. Also, did you see Trump's anti-Semitic truth tonight? No, I didn't. I call them tweets and retweets. I'm not feeding into his cult language. Trump attacks American Jews in a Truth Social post. Oh my God. Former President Donald Trump attacked American Jews in a post on his Truth Social platform on Sunday, saying Jews in the U.S. must get their act together and show more appreciation for the state of Israel before it's too late. American Jews have long been accused of holding secret loyalty to Israel rather than the U.S. Trump's post leaned on that anti-Semitic trope, suggesting that by virtue of their religion, American Jews should show more appreciation to Israel. Wow. Trump also complained in the post that no president had done more for Israel than he had, but that Christian evangelicals are far more appreciative of this than the people of the Jewish faith, especially those living in the U.S. This is just messed up, dude, for so many reasons that I can't even get into right now. But I'll tell you what, I actually did a video on this on my main channel recently, Tuesday, October 18th. Go check that video out on my main channel. I might link it in this. We'll see. But yeah, it kind of goes through why anti-Semitism is so completely disgusting and messed up in the first place, particularly this type of anti-Semitism. But Trump is from New York City. And by the way, New York City is the highest concentration of Jewish people in the world outside of Israel. If Donald Trump is trying to win New York in any kind of election going forward at all, he's failing miserably. This is honestly sad. Honestly sad and disgusting. But that's Trump for you. You know, that's Donald Trump. That's who he is. That's what he's all about. That's what he's always been about. Furthering his own goals, no matter whose face he has to step on. My grandmother's a Jehovah's Witness, and I grew up with her cramming cult propaganda down my throat at a young age with Caleb and Sophia. After I watched your videos, it made me realize it's a destructive cult. However, I tell my grandmother she may kick me out. I go over for faster bus routes, but what should I do? I think you should be silent and not tell her anything up until the moment you can't hide it anymore, because that moment will come. Eventually, you'll come to a point where you can't not be yourself anymore. At that point, you should be preparing for that moment indefinitely until it comes. Start preparing now. Start planning. Start figuring out getting a job and figuring out where you're going to go to school next, where you're going to work next, where you're going to live next. Figure it all out, but do your best to not say a word. Just blend in until the time is right. That'd be my recommendation, and good luck. I know that's not fun. I have been there.